An HR management software company was conducting business reviews for executives every quarter. All department heads met to discuss the previous quarter's performance and activities done, and the plan for the next quarter. The 2 weeks prior to each review, each of the departments, sales, marketing, product, finance, and more, were working to gather data and align on their messaging for the QBR. PowerPoint presentations had to be done weeks in advance, so there were enough time to stitch them all together from different teams, edit, proofread, and practice before showing to the executives. Not only did this take an enormous amount of time away from other important tasks, by the time the presentations were all put together and finalized, the information in them was already out of date and conflicted with data presented by other parts of the organization. With ThunderAct, all of that time-consuming preparation is no longer needed. Cross-organizational state of the business and consumer communication insights are always available for review. QBRs can then focus on what is important, working in a unified team and making informed business decisions based on data. To learn more about ThunderAct's incredible AI-powered data analysis and business advisory capabilities, visit ThunderAct.com to start a free trial.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. We've had some really great speakers so far. Here's our last one before we start talking about how ThunderAct can help you. Dr. Sarah Benson-Konforty on how to build the right teams during the golden era of data. Very excited. Sarah, take it away whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone. It's very exciting to be here. Let me start sharing my screen. Your permission. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So, hello everyone. It's very exciting to be here, as I said. It's been a long day, and I've been following most of the speakers. So first, I would like to thank Noi and ThunderAct for the opportunity to speak and present today. So my name is Dr. Benson-Konforty. I'm an doctor and CEO of AssemblyDrop, which is a stealth mode Silicon Valley startup disrupting the $650 billion home improvement market. And originally, I'm from Israel. I actually founded my first software company at age 19. At McPire, we've actually grown a broad array of products from CRMs to web applications and database systems. In 2011, McPire was acqui-hired by Chegg through an acquisition of 3D3R in Silicon Valley.
Sarah, we lost your sound.
Help us. Sorry. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? No, I
can hear you.
Okay. So I help positions or fought in the battlefields as head of business development in Search&IO, which was a StartX at Stanford startup in the search and analytics space. And it was acquired by Algolia. And being interim CEO in a biomedical company, managing partner in an early seed stage fund, Gimen, that I founded. And that's what I'm doing today. So let's move to our topic. So how to build the right teams in the golden era of data. So we've been all talking about the all kinds of aspects of how we're managing this world with all this amazing amount of data. So in every industry today, as I said, companies are amazing, an amazing amount of data. So if we look at retailers that micro-inspect our purchasing history, or airlines measure why flights are on time, And every service call or email interaction is tracked. So what's the benefit of all this data? So companies can figure out how to better solve customer needs, obviously, and improve their services and operations, and make better decisions about the talent that they hire. So when I say we've entered the golden era of data, it means that you don't have to be Walmart or IBM to build a data lake in your company. So this opportunity is actually available to every company through cloud-based systems at the modest cost. So to put things into perspective, 1 exabyte, which is 10 to the 18th power of data, is basically created on the internet daily, which is equivalent to data in 250 million DVDs. So humankind basically today produces in 2 days the same amount of data it took from the dawn of civilization until 2003 to generate. So as the Internet of Things become a reality and more physical objects become connected to the internet, we will enter what we call the brontobyte era, which is 10 to the 27th power. But while we have all this data and it's becoming more influential than ever, there's still a big problem. So most of us are not very good at interpreting and making sense of the data, unfortunately. And I can give you an example. A few years ago, the National Center of Education of Statistics, the so-called NCES, assessed the data interpretation and problem-solving skills of adults in 23 countries. And guess what? United States is ranked at the 21st place out of 23 countries participating, which means that a vast percentage of the workforce need to enhance their data literacy. So before we go into data literacy, I want to talk to you about individuals, which are the basic component of teams and the way that we build our work environment by hiring basically the right people. So this is Elon Musk, which is a very controversial and favorite topic of a lot of entrepreneurs and people in general. And when Elon was asked, how do you choose your team? So he said, honestly, it tends to be a gut feel more than anything else. So when I interview somebody, I say, tell me the story of your life and the decisions you've made along the way and why you made them. And the most interesting thing he said was, those who solve the problem know the small details. So when we deal with data, we obviously deal with the small details, and knowing how to interpret that is very important and crucial for problem-solving processes in the company. So another very beloved figure and aspiring, let's say, entrepreneur and executive is Safra Katz, which is the CEO of Oracle. And she said that basically someone looking at a problem from a different perspective can find a better way of solving a problem, which is why we have to bring a different point of view to the organization. Now, looking at Safra, I could say that she means that basically employees are one of our key factors in order to assess those amounts of data. One of her quotes was that one of employees' fears is not fitting in and not being well liked, which is the feeling that we've been fighting. She said it was the feeling that she's been fighting her entire life. So biases are one of the key problems, not only in interpreting data, but also building the right teams. So Katz also emphasized the significance of ignoring preconceptions about people. So we all confine ourselves in boxes, she said, and praise people for being able to think outside of the box is very important. So the ability to connect with people, irrespective of differences of the boxes that we see around them and ourselves, basically a key to solving critical companies and society at large. And she said, we have too many problems to try to do it on our own. So no successful person or an entrepreneur had ever said, I did it by myself. It's always a team effort. So CEOs, which is known as also the highest paid person's opinion in an organization. So why do we say be aware of the hippo effect? So the hippo effect is one of the biggest barriers to more evidence-based and data-driven decision-making. So with the quantity and quality of data available today, it is just poor business for organizations to ignore data in favor of making decisions solely based on what the hippo wants done, or whatever he thinks that needs to be done. So there was a Harvard study that basically showed that you need data to depersonalize decision making. All of the reality will be that decision making in organizations will still rely on gut instinct in some way. Decisions should be informed by insights provided by the data. So 80% of survey respondents rely on data in their roles, and 73% actually rely on data to make decisions. And 84% still managerial judgment is a factor when making key decisions. So this is one of my art pieces of Andy Warhol. As you can see, it's the "you're so small, you're so big." And this is basically the perspective of those hippos that are standing in the top and those who are under them that are afraid to come and speak up and give their opinion and their insights on the organization. So I want to share with you this research that was done by IBM. This research included surveys across 50 countries, 5,800 executives, and it found that approximately 120 million professionals need to be reskilled to deal with AI and digital business environments. Gaps are not digital skills, but so this research actually the fact that while digital and technical skills are in high demand, they can be filled for more than 45% of the chief HR operators, so that people that are coming out of college skills they need, but actually what they're missing is the skills in complex problem solving, teamwork, business understanding, and leadership. So digital skill gaps. If you look at the list, you see a set of topics we all deal with in every day, trying to adapt to constant change. So prioritizing our time to work on the most important things like learning to listen and collaborate in a team, and understanding how to communicate our ideas, findings, recommendations in a compelling way. So these soft skills are complex and behavioral in nature, and they represent what we now call the uniquely human skills that cannot be done by machines. So basically, if I'm an engineer, so I'm quite comfortable with technology, it's now quite clear to me that my biggest opportunity to grow is to learn how to use all these tools. So integrate them into my work and build a team of people who can help our business grow and evolve. So the best way to address this issue is basically to teach those skills, and as a business and as a company, to invest in your people and help them grow. So which data skills are actually missing? So I found this very interesting Harvard Business Focus Group that was done. They conducted a focus group of 20 sophisticated companies, telling them which data skills were missing in their own organizations. So these analytics teams told us that they were not suffering from a lack of technical skills, but from skills in data-driven problem solving. So they said that the ability to ask the right questions, to understand which data is relevant and how to test the validity of that data, interpret the data well so that the results are useful and meaningful, and have the correct A/B tests pan out, create easy to understand visualizations. So visualizations of data is one of the most, let's say, key tools that are used today in the work environment in order to bring those insights to the highest level possible. Tell a story to help decision makers to see the bigger picture is such an important skill, because especially when you see the hippo effect, if you cannot actually be the advocate of your own insight as a junior manager or as a mid-management level person in an organization, you're gonna have a very big problem down the road in order to execute on those insights and those recommendations that you bring to the top level management. So balance is a key. So we have all kinds of team members that we can have on a team. You have the I-shaped expert at one thing, as we call. We have the generalist, which is capable in a lot of things, but not expert in any of them. And you have the T-shaped, which is capable in a lot of things, but expert in one of them. And actually, the best way to let's say balance a team and hire the right people is looking for those T-shaped people. So because they are all about adapting to varying demands. Even though I-shaped people and what we call the expert in one thing can help you solve a lot of bottlenecks. So, and the generalist can help you assess maybe sometimes higher level concepts. Eventually, it is shown that product delivery teams, get asked to do a lot of different things. And it requires a lot of skill sets, obviously. But eventually, if people only know one skill, then if developing your product requires N skills, you will need N people. So if people know more than one skill, then you will need, of course, greater than N. So the shortest way to actually address a problem and manage a team and hire the right team members is having those T-shaped people, because this is the shortest way to success eventually, because they can have the ability to do multiple things in a short amount of time because of their expertise. So this is an example to the T-shaped marketer, as you can see, and this is taken from Josh Berzin's very popular blog, the T-shaped skills for salespeople, as an example. And you can see the spread and also the deep skills, the broad skills versus the deep skills, and this brings you the, let's say that the good raw material, as we say. So the cost of not understanding the context of data is basically very, very huge. And you can see that there are two approaches. We have the top-down approach, we have the bottom-up approach, and as a let's say as a consequence from the hippo effect, there has been much more evidence to show that the bottom-up approach with interpreting data actually works better than the top-down approach. And that's because of the standpoint and the perspective which the data interpreter looks at from that point. So I can take an example, for instance, of a company that has invested heavily in business intelligence software. And let's say they organize internal data. So this is an increasingly connected world. This company, they haven't leveraged data to that potential. So why not? So because the company's internal data is isolated from the rest of the data universe, which means including news, social media, blogs, and other relevant sources. That means that somebody needs to basically connect the dots and understand how to interpret all of this. So there are applications that actually do that. So if we pull in information from the entire data universe, and that would help a company answer the questions like, why did our sales plummet last month, or what happened to our sales figures last month? So the company could further question, did our slip in sales have anything to do with the recent elections and uncertainty, or how can we make sure that our sales do not slip next time, so that there is a shift in a political landscape? So what am I trying to say here? That basically there are various layers around us that that can affect a very narrow vertical in our business. And those systems actually are there in order to enable that. But for organizations and businesses to survive today, they have to contextualize their data. So I can give an example from other worlds. Just as a doctor that is diagnosing a patient with diabetes based on body temperature alone is incorrect, so is making business decisions derived from data out of context. So a doctor needs to know about the patient's age, lifestyle, diet, weight, family history, and more in order to make probable and guarded diagnosis and prognosis. So contextualization is crucial in transforming, that's what we call the senseless data, into real information. And information that can be used as, let's say, actionable insights that enable intelligent corporate decision-making. At the end of the day, our overworked minds want to be spoon-fed insights. So we want key signals and tightly packaged summaries, let's say, of relevant, intriguing information that will basically arm us with the correct knowledge. But, these are basically based eventually on other sources of, let's say, if you want to reference the internal data with gazillion amounts of other sources, then obviously we need those algorithms that will funnel out the noise and extract those signals. So let's say if we have millions of tweets from New York City on the eve of the US elections, and rather than read them all, you want to know how, let's say, you want to know quickly how people are feeling based on these tweets. So to do this, you must use all kinds of complex algorithms like machine learning that was discussed here today, computational linguistics, NLP, what we call the natural language processing, in order to find and understand those contexts. But eventually, those things are not fully able to be substituted by machines, or gradually it will, but we still need those people to understand the context and them to have the right skills. So what makes a team basically data ready?
So Sarah, just a heads up, we have 4 more minutes to go.
Yes. So what makes a team data ready? So we're discussing proper training, understanding of KPIs, as I said, the proper visualization of data, relevance and context, having a solid process, which is a very important thing, and ability to communicate among teams across the organizations and startups. And I know that I'm sure that the audience knows about a lot of communication platforms, so I didn't want to go into that in detail. But what basically makes a stellar team? What are the components? Let's say business is a team sport. I'm not the only one who said that. Probably not the first and not the last. And so when we talk about this balance between team member experience and the need for team member experience, for example. So there are 2 types of skills that we discussed from the beginning, which are hard skills and soft skills. And there is a lot of real world evidence that is showing that those teams that actually have less prior experience and more, let's say, passion and vision, or combined vision, have higher chances of performing and better chances of succeeding eventually. So if team members, let's say, are super smart and experienced, but they don't feel like sharing knowledge, let's say, due to lack of alignment about the vision for the company. So their knowledge is basically useless for the business. So this is something that I really want to emphasize. So instead of these differences, let's say, in passion and vision, they can make the teams perform worse because of lack of alignment. As we know, for instance, when venture capital investors are doing due diligence, they focus carefully on the financial side of the business. And they assess, does the company have an interesting business model? How big is the addressable market? What are the growth plans of the company? Did they hire expensive experts or use advanced data tools to answer these questions? So they ensure that every financial detail, obviously, is there. But when it comes to evaluating the startup team, let's say, there is a gut feel and intuition that tends to be the main due diligence instrument, unfortunately.
Sarah, 1 more minute.
Yes?
1 more minute.
So, so this is a great approach. The data shows us that 60% of the venture basically fails because of that. So that was actually my last slide.
Right on time.
And I just wanted to say thank you. I hope it was interesting.
It was. Thank you very, very much, Sarah. highly appreciate your time and effort and
Thank
in creating this deck from scratch for us. So thank you so much.
And you can say in the background. It says team.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. This was really fascinating, and we look forward to hear from you again in the future. So